Indy Mogul.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Justin here. Welcome to the podcast First Films, where we discuss the very early work of working professionals here out in Hollywood, how they began, and what led to their big break, when they first got paid for some projects. And with me today is Jordan Allen, who I have known for a couple years now. He is a director and a VFX artist. He has worked on Chainsmokers music videos, Miley Cyrus music video, 21 Pilots, as well as doing, I think, a pretty notable shot for the show Atlanta, The Invisible Car. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not. We've known each other for a while, and I've always respected your work, so it's great to have you on.
Thank you,
I'm really curious to hear some of your tales. So give me a quick, a 30-second rundown of what you do as a director and VFX artist.
As a director, I mean, it's mainly only commercial content, which is kind of... I like short storytelling. I always have. I'm not one for the long form, but I do like to touch long form. And so that takes place in the music video world, and the show world, and the feature world. And that's where the VFX come in handy. So it's a chance to be a part of a bigger project without having to manhandle the scope of it. You know what I mean? So I can stay in my 30-second realm, and I can hop out to the larger.
Oh, so when you say long form, a music video is
long form. Yeah, to me, that's like five commercials length,
okay,
right?
okay.
Or six. So yeah, that to me is longer form anyway. Yeah.
And you work with a team, or are you typically solo on a lot of this stuff?
On the VFX, it's a lot of it's solo, but like the Atlanta shot, for example, I teamed up with Andrew Donahoe, who was the VFX supervisor, and I think one other artist hopped on as well near the end. But yeah, a lot of it is solo, and it's kind of like a, hey, come out and soup for the shoot, and then tackle the workload. And I prefer to soup because obviously you care more about, the quality of things when you're the one who has to clean it up.
Yes.
So, yeah, it seems to work out pretty well.
It's like that, 30 seconds on set where you're like, oh, how about you just move that over there?
Yeah. Oh, we need like 3
hours.
more tracking markers. Yeah.
And that's better for everyone.
Absolutely. So it's been getting a handle on that, like how to exist in a larger group of people. It's been cool.
You've worked on a lot of professional stuff, obviously, and you're in your mid-20s, right?
Yeah, 25.
25. It's pretty awesome. I mean, a lot of kids that age are just kind of really just coming out of school. So to be able to be working on legit stuff.
Yeah, life is weird. I was expecting to be like interning at Warner Brothers right now. I had my master plan to go to USC Film School.
It's not too late.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, I was. My plan in high school was to go to USC Film School, 4 years, summa cum laude, graduate, start at Warner Brothers, senior editor by the time I'm 55. Like I had a game plan. And I ended up at Chapman for a year, and I dropped out. And it's like you look back and you're like, whoa. At the time, it was a little scary to step out and say, you know what, I'm gonna start working. But I can't complain. I've been blessed to meet a lot of really cool people.
So we're gonna get in the First Film's time machine. There's a sound effect associated with that.
That's great. That's great work.
There's a real sound effect that you'll hear in post later. Let's go all the way back. Let's go back, I don't know how many years, 15, 20 years, whenever you first started. And so we're coming from sort of different eras with a 9-year age difference. I'm really curious in hearing a younger filmmaker's take. When did you first realize that you loved film? What was your kind of gateway into making movies?
Probably the greatest application of all time, Windows Movie Maker.
Yes. That
gave me the opportunity to do slow-mo. I'll never forget my first visual effect. Does that count? I don't even know.
Absolutely.
But
the first time you picked up a camera and you're like, I'm going to make something.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, me and my brother would make the dumbest stuff.
Do you remember that slow motion shot?
I do, yeah.
What needed to be slow motion?
It was one of those home videos that you're just ashamed to watch, but so proud of in the moment. And it was, just my brother in some sort of hick mask getting pelted with socks. But it was a moment that wasn't captured fully unless you got the chance to kind of just, marinate in it, So slow-mo stepped in and made it an unforgettable shot.
It's that 30 FPS slow-mo where it's like sock here,
yes.
sock here, sock here.
Yes, dude, probably even 24. Honestly, it was garbage, but it should still be on my reel, I think. I feel like you as well, like even with the 9-year difference, like we came at a pretty cool time where we've been able to see the evolution of it and like how much you're able to do now compared to even back then is so dramatic.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And so going from the slow motion sock shot, what were some other early, were you and your brother frequent collaborators and stuff?
Oh my gosh.
Is he in your group now? Is your brother?
He's not. Okay. No, he's gone. He's a musician all the way. Like he's a musical genius.
So stay creative, but just in a different.
Yeah. I mean, my whole family's musical. And I would always say that a shadow's a really cool place to live. And so I tried to get out of his because he's so talented. So I moved over to the visual side of the arts. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's smart strategy.
Yeah, but we would love to be done together. So we would always just film. And then I'd just handle it from there. He'd just show up on the shoot day. Full prima donna.
So you're doing all the pre-production and everything like that, and he's just kind of the talent.
Yeah. I was full post. I just handle everything.
So I think from like a technical perspective, you really dug in deep with starting with After Effects. Really, that was your first.
Yeah, correct.
Do you recall what prompted you to start with After Effects?
Yeah.
What was the shot where they're like, we needed to do this?
There was a video I saw on YouTube, the very beginnings of YouTube. Where a guy got like hit by a car. It's that really old lame effect,
great.
hit by the car. And there was like this blood that came out, and like to me in the moment, it was like, what? Like I knew it was fake, but it's like, how did he do that? And so that kind of prompted me to look into it. And thank God for the internet, I'll tell you that, because literally anything you want is right there. So I looked it up, and then I found Video Copilot, and I actually kind of got into Video Copilot and After Effects at the same time. And those were the first tutorials that I would do. And every day after school, I'd come home and I'd film something and I'd do a tutorial. Because it was just so fun to me.
Right. So he would basically say, a lot of times they provide the foot. Did they provide the footage?
I believe they did provide the footage, but I would always shoot my own stuff anyway. Because I'd like to change it up. And then from there you go, hey, this applies to this and this and this. Oh, and pre-comping, this applies to this and this. And you start to like piecemeal it, and it becomes this giant web of like, oh, it's all connected.
It's such a fantastic way of learning. That's how I learned After Effects as well. I was like, I want my friend to like, how do I make my friend look like he's lifting up a car?
Yeah.
And I remember it was my friend Jake Lodwick, who was he founded Vimeo and College Humor. And,
awesome.
And I reached out to him for the first time, I think it was maybe like 1999 or 2000. I saw a video he did where he had text that move and there was like motion blur on the text. I could probably find this email, honestly. And I emailed them and I was like, hey, how did you make that blurry text? Because even something like that
is just...
Then I was just like, I can't do that in whatever I was editing on, like Pinnacle Studio or something like that, or the first early Premiere. And he just told me, he's like, I use After Effects and this is the settings. And it was just, that was kind of
push
my
this
gateway.
Button to
then you just learn, those couple things, like how to motion tracking and keyframing, and you can do so much with just that.
Absolutely. It all ties together. And it's actually quite surprising as to what is possible once you learn the fundamentals of the program.
That was really only 9 or 10 years ago.
Right.
So the difference in where you went from I can make a slow motion sock to working on Miley Cyrus videos.
No, totally.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, it's funny to think about in the scope. And I've met other people who are, again, like 15 years older, and I'm just so excited to see where we are then. You know what I mean? All of us, and where technology is then to allow us to do even cooler stuff. But it's one of those things. Like I said, life is weird, and it was I decided, because I'd been doing directing for 4 or 5 years then with Side of Fries, just commercial content, and of course to save money on all our budgets, I would do all the visual effects for all of our stuff. So from there, Luke had a Steadicam gig constantly, so he's constantly working in our dry seasons.
Side of Fries is your film group, essentially.
Yeah, Luke Rochlow and I, we co-direct, and we kind of go under the name Side of Fries. It's a little more memorable than Jordan and Luke, Yeah, so it works for us, and we did that for about 4 or 5 years, and I would always do the VFX. And Luke was constantly working in our dry seasons, and so I decided, hey, I'm going to start lending out my VFX abilities to people who need it. And off of a Facebook post. I mean, the wildest way ever. I still owe, his name's Brock Kingsland, I still owe him a steak. But off of a Facebook post, my reel got chosen for a music video for a quote-unquote big artist, and I show up on set and it ended up being Miley Cyrus.
Oh my god!
I was like, well, there you go. Thanks Hollywood.
And so that seems kind of like that initial big break moment. Was that your first, outside of working with your film group? Was that your first professional gig
ever? And it was so funny because it was such an exciting thing. But it's one of those things where you're not sure you can do it until you're there. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you just have to put all your eggs in the basket and just push 100% to figure it out and be there in the moment and solve the problems that are given to you to see if you can do it.
Yeah.
And it worked out quite well. That was with Dictator. And I've worked with them a lot recently. So it's been a really cool relationship.
They must not have known that was your first time on set, or that was your first VFX gig, right? You didn't present that information.
No. Yeah, I mean, you can't really, but In the sense that it was my first time on set, not in like a directorial capacity, where I don't have the say-so to change things at a whim to make it easier for me. I've got to adapt to the director. I've got to adapt to everybody else. And in that sense, it was like putting a big fish in a small pond, and then I was a little fish in a big pond. I don't know if I said that right, but it kind of was that feeling. And it was just kind of getting over the initial, ooh, I don't know, and just going, dude, you got this. Let's handle it and making it happen. Now,
I always find that for creators, there is perhaps one specific video project, even before they became professional, the one where you just kind of put your all into it and were really satisfied with the results.
Yeah.
For me, it was in high school, we wanted to make a artsy music video to, I don't know, it was like an Amy Mann song or something like that. I don't remember. And so we're like, let's make this artsy. And all artsy meant to us when we were in high school was like, let's actually take time to frame up nice shots.
Right.
And it ended up kind of being like, haha, like we're doing an artsy thing. But at the end of the day, all the shots actually looked pretty good. And I was like, maybe I should spend time.
Right.
So did you have that same kind of experience with an early formative film where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna, and you were surprised, you surprised yourself?
I would say, yeah, I think so. I think it happened with Luke. Luke and I, when we first met on set, I was DIT on set. And we met when he was dumping footage, and we hit it off, and he was just as crazy as I was. Actually, I became the normal one for the first time, which was quite exciting. And we decided to get together and do some stuff. And the first things that we did, ironically enough, were commercials, but anti-commercials.
Okay.
Commercials that the brand would never want to touch. And after watching them back, we thought they were hilarious.
And you really think that's gonna do anything after that bag of chips for lunch? I can't even digest my thoughts right now. Now what is it?
And that kind of got me interested in kind of contests, because the first contest I'd ever entered, which may actually be the answer to this question, was for the New York Film Academy. They had a freedom of speech contest, and I knew nothing of the subject, so I did some research and decided to do a rap video.
Let's take a look at the first piece of evidence. It's a little boy named Wesley, and it makes no sense. The case is called Bush was Marble Newtown School District, and the reality you're about to find will make you sad.
But I decided, you had 4 minutes to get as much information about your side of the argument as possible. And I decided to do a rap because I figured that would be the most efficient way to get information out. So I worked on that for like a few weeks. I had an hour a week in my old high school because I was 18. I just graduated and had an hour a week in the green screen studio that I'd built for the school.
Oh, wow.
And so I just...
You built it?
I built it and I had an hour a week and I maximized the time and I flipped it and I sent it in my first ever contest. I was really nervous about like being rejected and just the idea of not being good enough. And I got a message back that I was a finalist, and then it turns out that I won. And it was like a partial scholarship to New York Film Academy. I still haven't used that, by the way. I'm not sure if that expired.
Yeah.
But I think it was good for like a semester. I'm not sure.
Wow. New York Film Academy or 1,000 pizzas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd take the 1,000 pizzas. I'm not mad at that. Yeah, but it was cool. It was a really cool experience. They flew me out to New York, and it was, I think, yeah, this is the answer. Because, they flew me out to New York, and it was like, wow, like, I think I'm capable. Like, I think I can do this. And that's kind of what led us to Tongle, honestly. The idea of contest, the idea of like, now I've become a very competitive person because of that. It's like the challenge.
And so some background, Tongle is a video competition community. And they post these projects, and then filmmakers from all around the world make a pitch for the project. If they get the pitch, they get a budget. And there are also what's called wild card at Tongle, whereas it's groups that didn't win the pitch, so they're not guaranteed a finalist spot. They're not guaranteed a budget, but these crazy mofos who just go out and just wreck it. They just wreck it on their own and then just show up and beat everyone's pants off. And so you guys have been in that position quite a bit where you're doing stuff for really scrappy with no guarantees, confident enough in your own skills, and you seem to do pretty well.
Yeah, thank you, man. Our first one was the Star Wars Pringles commercial that you were also in.
All right, everyone, listen up. Another bi-monthly party on Tuesday. Joe bring the drinks, Frank bring the chips.
That's right.
Yeah, you guys won that one, huh?
We did, but we saw your entry, and also what we did. So the way it worked, like we saw our competition, so they show all the other groups that have submitted and got a budget, and there was like a glitch where you could see all the entries.
Right.
And then we were like looking through, and we're like looking at our competition. We're like, these are all good, but we feel confident. And then I feel like we saw yours just like as a wild card, and we're like, oh my god. And it was. I'm still shocked you won that because the competition on that was really fantastic.
It was
really, really tight. You guys did a lot. There's a lot of different stuff going on. How did you pull off that you have like an office location, right? You've got costumes. I mean, we had a couple grand to make our video. How did you execute on that video for nothing?
Luke and I talked after not getting the pitch, and we decided, you know what, dude, like, let's just do this for us. We really did do it for ourselves. And at that time, I was in school. At that time, I was completely broke. And I actually took out a $1,500 loan with Luke.
Wow,
right?
that is ballsy.
Yeah, I took out, because again, I mean, this is coming from someone who had no concept of money. I just finished working at a movie theater for $8 an hour, so pre-tax as well. So
yeah.
I didn't really have an understanding of money in the grand scheme of things. 1,500 was kind of just a number. It sounded like an awful lot, but I just decided to do it. I figured at the end of the day, we would have an awesome commercial that we could use to get other work. So it's a win-win in our minds. So we went in doing it for us, I think, more than ever. And that's kind of what we do with the wild cards, is we do it for us.
It seems like there's been so many instances where you've really bet on yourself, which I think is a really important thing for people to, you have to do that. You can't really be you can't be a person who's afraid of failure. You can't be a person who's afraid of taking risks. You can't be someone who, when other people tell you it's a crazy or a bad idea, if you think it's a great idea, you defer to them and you don't do it. Because when you look back, I'm sure there's a lot of those instances where when you kind of follow the spider web back to what landed you on doing a shot for Atlanta or on the Miley Cyrus video, you have to make those chances.
Yeah.
You really have to do it. And I think for a lot of people, the case may be where they're on that set and they realize, oh no, I'm bad at this. This isn't for me. So luckily that hasn't been the case for us.
At least not to my knowledge. I don't know. But you're totally right. Like, taking gambles, taking bets on yourself. If you're not willing, I would say this, if you're not willing to bet on yourself, why should anybody else? You know?
Yeah.
And that was kind of my mentality. I've always, from the beginning, from 12, 13 years old, I've always been the guy who never said no. I'm learning to say no now, which is very beneficial. But I was never the guy to say no. Hey, let's make this blow up. Let's make this fly. Okay, I'll figure it out. And I teach myself step by step.
So we have a lot of filmmakers who listen to this who are starting out and they're just trying to figure out what their kind of next step is. And what I think is so interesting about doing this podcast is you hear a lot of different people's journeys, but I think there's always a lot of common advice and suggestions you can get from different people. So what would you say to, I'm sure this is a question you get asked a lot, but what would you say to an up-and-coming filmmaker? What were things you did that are replicable for anyone to really get into this business?
I'd say the first thing, and I'm not even sure this is how do you say that? Replicable?
I don't even remember.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure that this is something that you could replicate. But it's just a genuine passion. I think that's really important if you're going to pursue anything, that you genuinely love it, because it's what's going to keep you up late into the night and early into the morning. It's what's going to kind of push you past people who are also doing the same thing. That passion is something that is key. Apart from that, I'd say consistency, work ethic, and being a team player. I think this is really important, because yes, you can go and do your own things, but it's amazing how small this world is, the world of film, even on the smallest levels to the largest levels. Everybody knows everybody, and it's really good to have people in your corner. And I've been incredibly blessed to meet some really talented people who have kind of stepped up for me, and even like Brock, who posted for me, and people that I've met after that. And it guarantees that you're going to be on really cool projects, because you like working with those people like working with you, and you both bring a passion to the table that is irreplicable.
Yeah, replicable. I think that was the word. And that's what's exciting too, I think, for younger filmmakers, when you first find that collaborator who shares that passion, and you're able to realize that you're bigger than just the sum of your parts. That's a really important moment for filmmakers as well. When you evolve from your brother just being the talent to having your first real kind of partner in crime to make stuff.
Right.
You're just like, oh, wow, we're both into this.
Yeah, for me, it's not even, I mean, it's not like a 2 + 2. It's like a 2, or I guess that's the same equation, but it's not like a 3 + 3. It's like a 3 × 3. Like it's a larger impact than just, oh, now there's 2 of us. It's like the manpower is doubled, but passion boosts that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when you've got a team of people who are like stoked to do something, it's crazy what happens. How
can people find you on the internet?
I have a website for the VFX. It's vfxwithjordan.com, and the directing website, sideofries.tv. You can check out all our work there.
And I gotta say, you will not regret checking it out because I'm always impressed with the visual effects that these guys are able to pull off.
You're
And
sweet. Thank you.
Still to this day, you know, deep down inside, you're the first place Pringles video.
Oh, get out of town. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Well, thanks for being with us, and I look forward to seeing your work in the future.
Totally, man.
And
Dude, it's been a pleasure.
We'll check you next time.
All right, man.